welcome to another exciting and very special episode of E&F TV's Bridging the Gap. And today I'm joined by my buddies, a pantheon of hospitality educational professionals, Kate from Oxford Brookes, Ariane from UWL, and Lisa from Missenden Abbey. Guys, good afternoon. How are you?
Very good. Thank you. Nice to see you, Jason.
Good, thank you.
Look, we were just laughing, weren't we, off screen, because we originally intended this on being a kind of like a election style debate around the time of the general election. When we looked through our diaries, we could literally do between us 1 hour in about 6 months. So this is the hour, and yeah, we're blessed to have you all on screen. And of course, you've all appeared on Bridging the Gap. You've all appeared on the show before, so you all kind of know what it's about. You guys have met before, but just for everyone else, you just go through and just introduce yourselves, tell us about your university and a little bit about what you do. So if we start with Kate.
Hello, I am a senior lecturer in hotel finance and revenue management. Before I studied in Oxford Brookes, I was in Hong Kong Polytechnic University and also Macau University of Science and Technology. So altogether, I've been in higher education for nearly 15 years. I can't believe that. So I've been at Oxford Brookes for 7 years. So I like teaching. My teaching is highly regarded. And I was working as subject coordinator. So I was very involved with the National Satisfaction Score. So I really enjoyed my teaching research and the time with the students.
Brilliant. Thank you, Kate. Ariane?
Hi, thank you, Jason. Hi, my name is Dr. Ariane Lengyel. So I'm also a senior lecturer at the University of West London. We have our campus in Ealing in West London, as the name indicates. We have quite a long history of teaching hospitality, tourism, culinary arts. So we offer a wide range of different courses. I've been in higher education since 2010 and 2008, sorry. And before that, I worked in the hospitality industry all over the world, in the South Pacific, in Tahiti, in Thailand, in France. And now I currently am the course leader for the hospitality management courses.
Brilliant. Lisa?
Thank you very much, Jason. So I am Lisa Wyld. I am the head of Missenden Abbey International Hotel and Hospitality School based at Buckinghamshire New University. We are a brand new school for the university. We only open the doors to students in September of 2023. So it's very exciting times, developing new curriculum, looking at innovative programs. We're specialising in hotel management, hospitality management, gastronomy, culinary arts, and a number of other areas around hotel and events management and everything else. So it's exciting to be able to build brand new curriculum in a brand new school. I'm also the co-founder of an initiative called Hospitality and Universities United, which is about bringing together and bridging that gap between what we're doing within academia and in universities within the UK and what is happening out in the industry, and trying to foster and build those relationships with students from the very beginning of their journey in the world of hospitality.
Thank you, Lisa. Guys, I selected you or asked you to come on the show because you're the three of you, along with Pamela, who couldn't be here today from Manchester Met, are all so enthusiastic, passionate. Forgive me if I'm wrong, but you're all ex-industry, aren't you? All from hospitality, worked in hotels before, and you all radiate that kind of passion to kind of, well, bridge the gap between the world of education and that first job in hospitality. So thank you for coming on the show. I asked you each to come up with 1 or 2 kind of issues, questions, things that you wanted to debate. So what we'll do is we'll kind of run through those today, debate them, poke the bear a little bit. We like to do that. What could we do better? What could we improve? What could the industry do to help you guys? What could you guys do to help the industry? And kind of see where we get. So without further ado, first question. So the first one we're going to have a chat about is the issues around whether what we are teaching in universities aligns with the expectations of the industry. Are we, or even should we, produce work-ready graduates? Lisa, I believe that's your question, so I'm going to ask you to start off with that one, if that's okay with you.
Thank you very much, Jason. Yeah, it's a big thing, I think, for what we're doing within universities. And also, I think for me, setting up a brand new school and brand new programs and really starting from that blank piece of paper, a lot of stuff went through my mind sort of probably about sort of 16, 17 months ago about what were the programs going to be and what were they going to include and everything else. And should we, at the end of the program of study that the students have been with us, whether it's 3 years for a bachelor's, 4 years if it's a one with placement, or a year for a master's program, should they at the end of it be this work ready, sort of rounded person to be able to go straight into that job, straight into those roles and everything else? And I have two thoughts on it in a roundabout way. I think, yes, we should be, because I think in the answer that industry is looking at us for those future leaders and everything else, and looking to be able to ensure that they've got the skills and knowledge that is needed to be able to fill those roles that we've now got within the world of hospitality. But also there is, I suppose, the other response to that is, should we really? And I also a little bit, but so there is part of me that thinks part of their education is also then about when they actually go into industry themselves, shall we say, and actually looking at how to integrate and everything else. So if we have that work ready graduates, what else is the industry going to add with training and development and everything else as they go through? So I think it is, we need to align our programs with what industry needs. And as you know, Jason, the programs that we're doing are very industry centric, very industry led. Every module and every program we deliver at BNU involves industry, and so they are being called, because they've been co-designed and they're being co-delivered by industry, which I think is the direction of travel we should be going into. But I also think the industry themselves have something that to be able to shape that future workforce as well, or the workforce when they've currently got them, with continual training and development and everything else. So I think it is a bit of a two-edged coin, shall we say.
Absolutely. Ariane, what are your thoughts? How ready should the graduates be when you start the first role in hospitality, and how much are the onus is on these companies that are taking on the graduates to further develop them? Where does that stop?
Thanks, Jason. I agree 100% with what Lisa is saying, and how it's sort of a two-edged coin, as you said. I mean, I think hospitality is a beast that's slightly different to other other industries or other jobs, and I really think that we need to give them this well-rounded, both theoretical and practical. We're very lucky at the University of West London to still have kitchens, to still have a practice restaurant, which unfortunately some universities have closed mainly for cost reasons. Another thing is that a lot of our students work. We have a large cohort of international students. Most of them work the 20 hours a week that they can in the industry, because it's quite easy in London to find a job. So they're getting the classroom, the theory, the practice in the university context. They're also seeing the real world of work through their part-time jobs. But we've heard from employers, for example, that come in to our open days, and probably at in Kate and Lisa's institution as well, is that they're hiring on attitude, especially the luxury brands. They're hiring on attitude, not on skills. So they could teach you how to make a martini or espresso, but what they can't teach you is that attitude. So I think, and probably we're going to talk about this later, this whole soft skills thing that you and I, Jason, have an absolute bedbug for. But I think, yes, we have to teach them, the basics, but we also have to give them that sense of hospitability, which in some countries doesn't come naturally. In other countries, it comes very naturally. But in certain countries, perhaps in the UK, it's not, considered a career or things like that. So I think we also need to break down that barrier. Sorry, I'm going off a bit on a tangent, but
no, it's okay.
Those are kinds of the things I think.
So emphasis really on development of soft skills, teaching hospitality from the development of the person, rather than kind of like the hard skills, I suppose, of being it. So soft skills being more important for you then?
Well, equally important, and sending people out into the world of hospitality. And it doesn't matter if you're working for a budget hotel chain or a 5-star hotel chain, you still need to have this sense of service, this sense of guest service. And all the hotel companies, small and large, are looking for that personalization about people that are going to make the experience. I was on a webinar yesterday, and they were just talking about the experience, and it doesn't matter if it's Travelodge or the Ritz. It's still about the experience, and we then have to teach our students to deliver that experience. Obviously, when they get into industry, then each company will sort of mold them to their own requirements.
I think as we're obviously recruiters for commercial professionals in hospitality, and one phrase that I hear in the last kind of 12, 24 months more than any other time is cultural fit. So companies are so intent on cultural fit and the development of soft skills. Echoing what you said, Ariane, in terms of we can teach the hard skills, but actually teaching that those soft skills and that hospitality heart, that you've either got that kind of or you haven't you? Kate, would you agree? Is that echoed at Oxford Brookes? How do your guys get on when they leave? Sorry, go on.
Okay, first of all, I think this question is relevant to all subjects. I graduated with the accounting major, so when I started to work, I felt exactly the same. The world is very different. But I think the school has prepared us the university has prepared us the basics. And without the basics, we would feel even more overwhelmed. Okay, then back to Oxford Brookes, your question. In Oxford Brookes, we acknowledge there's a gap, but I said it's very normal. Students need to know the basics, okay? And by the time they graduate, they must make sure they understand the basics. So to supplement the softer skills, we have placement program 1 year. So we are very fortunate to have a partnership with a lot of luxury hotels in London and students in general after 1 year. And most of their roles rotate. So after 1 year, I think they are very happy. They kind of maximize to develop the softer skills. And we also have a mentor program. It's very expensive for us to run, but the last year the final year students can get a mentor for 1 year. The mentor can hold their hands to prepare them for the job. So compare with a role, the students are relatively in our program more well prepared. And throughout the course, we have like guest speakers, panel discussion, field trips. I'm sure other universities do the same too. So I think for education, we are aware of this issue, but it's not really a problem for our subject. It's a problem for all subjects area. And luckily, I think for hospitality management degree, the premises are very obvious and they are very helpful. But for other business like business management, it actually takes the more time to find future trip opportunity, etc. So our students are actually very lucky. And lastly, I want to mention, because earlier, there's a lot of mentioning about work ready. Then we need to think, work ready, what kind of work should be ready? Okay, a lot of times, maybe we focus on certain areas of the hospitality. And hospitality and tourism is such a big area, right? We have lots of jobs. So some are soft skills, customer-facing roles, but not everybody, every student's liking that kind of thing. They like to backstage office, they like to do marketing, they like to be finance officer, they want to evaluate real estate, that kind of thing. So when we think about the curriculum design, we must think about the diversity and how we can nurture different students' needs, not the softer skills and other potential in them. So it's good for curriculum actually to have like very hardcore subjects like finance, revenue management, that kind of thing. Okay, and like real estate valuation, something like that. So it must be a good combination of compulsory and elective modules. That's all.
And if you guys agree, but I think placement year is absolutely vital for the development of soft skills, the development of, well, giving a taste of what the industry's really like versus what the students think it's like. And also do well in that year, and you may have a job at the end of your course waiting for you. We see it happen time and time again. Leads us nicely onto the next question, which is the importance of placements and internships. We often have a challenge with this as our students because it's an additional cost to them and an extra year of study. So we're currently working how to position this with our students to make it more appealing. Ariane, what's the take up at the UWL of the placement year that you guys offer? Is it, I presume it is optional, you can take it, you can not take it, it's up to you.
Yeah, it was part of the courses previously. It was mandatory, the placement year. When we redesigned the courses, we made it optional. And really, I'm really very, very sad because very few students take it up. And I'm talking a cohort. I have about 90 first-year students. I think I have 2 that are on placement route.
Wow.
One of the reasons for that is that we have a large number of international students, and the international students want to get into the world of work as quickly as possible. That's partly linked to the way they finance their studies with loans, etc., from their home countries. As you said, most universities have a cost for the placement. I think it's not the same as a full year, but I think perhaps the move away from placement is due to what I was saying earlier about how they are working part-time. So they feel they're working part-time, 20 hours a week. They don't need to do a placement. It's not the same thing. I mean, we have students that are in supervisory roles in their part-time jobs. So we are trying to push the placement more and more. I mean, when I was studying, perhaps Kate and Lisa as well, I mean, we did a placement. I did 2 actually, and that was the way it was. And you got your hands really dirty because you weren't doing the most glamorous jobs. So perhaps it's linked to the background of the students that we have. There have been quite a few changes, I think, as well, with regards to the placement, sort of post-Brexit and then post-COVID, which has changed the type of student that we have as well at UWL. I don't know how it is for Lisa and Kate. Obviously, we're not in central London, but we're in London, and I speak to students from other institutions where I'm an external examiner, and the number one reason why they don't come to study in London is the cost of housing, etc. That's really pushing them away. So yes, we would like to put the placement back in, and perhaps if I get my way, I'll put it back in and make it mandatory. But for the moment, we're not seeing an uptake as I'd like to.
How can we encourage students to take on a placement year, Ariane?
We can make it mandatory.
Just make them, castle prod them in.
No, I think it's by making them understand how advantageous it is to them. How, as Kate was saying, they're going to learn other skills. How it might help them get a better job, when they graduate. How you were saying as well, some do placement and then get hired by the company. Perhaps changing the placement. For the moment, the placement is between the second and the third year. So we were thinking one point of putting it at the end of the third year, so the students would then be employable straight away, but that didn't work for logistical reasons. We also have, because we have a lot of international students, we have very strict regulations about how long the placement can be compared to the length of the course. But it is something I'd very much like to have a higher uptake on.
I think we've uncovered something quite crucial here, haven't we, with or maybe not uncovered it, but certainly it's of interest. But Lisa, just tell me a little bit. I believe you've got some thoughts on the number of placements available, the quality of the placements that are available. Let's have a little bit of a chat about that. Tell me your thoughts on that.
Yeah, I'm with Ariane on this one, in fact that I think placements are a must for students, and I've been fortunate enough at my university that we currently own an abbey, and the students are able to do practical experience in in all years of their study, and there is also a compulsory placement that's towards their end of their level 5 as well. And with the way we've mapped it, in the fact that we're still over the 3 years, but there is a compulsory placement in there that is a graded and credit bearing placement. So to be able to, all students that come to us have those practical skills out in industry and in commercial properties and commercial environment. But I do have there are some things around and the industry about whether they pay students or not, and we know there's a huge amount of fantastic companies within industry that pay students during placement times and everything else, but there's also those that don't, and then see them as being this little, I shouldn't say little, sort of pair of hands, shall we say, that they can get to do absolutely anything. So going to collect the GM's dry cleaning, make being the tea boy or tea girl for the day and everything like that. And they're the things I have a real issue with. We've had students in the past in my previous institutions that have had fantastic placements, and also beyond the UK and America and the rest of Europe, and had a fantastic time. But there's also, unfortunately, for everyone that has a fantastic time, there's at least one that has an absolutely terrible experience. And this is what is then preventing them or stopping them from continuing with what was their passion. Because we need to think, these students have decided to study hospitality. They've made the decision, wherever they're applying up and down the country, they've made the decision to study hospitality. But then they don't go into the world of hospitality for their jobs and for their career because of some of the experiences they've had, particularly those that have had poor placement experiences, or even when sort of Ariane alluded that a lot of our students work within the world of hospitality because that's what they want to do, and they learn some experiences along the way, but they have such poor experiences. I would love to name and shame a few, but I won't do that because that's definitely not professional. But they are the ones that are then meaning that our graduates that had the passion 3 years ago now do not have the passion to go in the industry and are going to other areas because of the way they're being treated, which I think is terrible when we consider that we are a hospitable and people-based industry, but we can't treat the people that were coming to work with us, even on internship, in the right way.
I think with some companies, it's maybe just an afterthought, and it's a lack of planning. It's a lack of a coherent program that the students can follow to maximize their enjoyment of it.
And I think that's
not for all companies.
And there are some companies that you think, okay, students would have a great experience if they spent a bit of time with them and sort of planning what they're going to do on rotation, giving them an industry mentor while they're there, or some sort of buddy and everything else. And those things, once you've got them in place, you just keep rolling with them for the next group and the next group and the next group.
Yeah, 100%. Kate, what's your experience at Oxford Brookes of graduate placements?
I can share some intelligence. When I took the subject coordinator role, my number one goal is to increase placement enrollment. So we actually had the same experience as Ariane. Like, we have hundreds of students, but only like 5 students took placement. That was really painful because we had such a great resource in placement. So first of all, I'd like to share why our student, at least I can say our student, why do not want to do the placement here. The first one is, apart from cost, the first one is they think they have done that. So in a gap year, they probably have done some waiter job, etc. So they think they have done that. They didn't know how this placement opportunity can broaden their horizon. They didn't realize how different is 5-star hotel from other just hospitality premises they worked before. Okay, so this is number one. And secondly, the friend effect, that is really terrible. Oh, my friends don't do that. Oh, my friends first don't do that. In the end, the whole group don't do that. Okay, and the lastly is intimidating. So some students want to do it, but they haven't done anything before, and their friends don't do it, even though they want to do it, but they feel very intimidated. So that's the reasons on top of cost. Okay, so about the method, I can give a very good testament on this. How did I increase student placement? Like in my second year and in my first, so after my 2 years in the placement, our enrollment reached to 95%. So I can do this. I just share my experience. I studied from the induction week. Because in Brookes University, placement happened in the second year. That is our second year. So the induction week is super important. So we must make students understand how important the placements here are. Okay, so I invited the alumni to talk about their placement. They prepared the video and shared the premises and let them talk about how important the placement here is. And then also during their first year study, we advanced the field trip opportunities. Previously we only prioritized the because of cost field trip opportunities for the final year students because they are related to the national satisfaction score. But now we advance to the first year before students choose placement program. Then they understand, oh, this is a 5-star hotel. Okay, previously the place they worked before wasn't as great as this one, etc. And then we ask the department people to do more in-depth talking. So not just to see, but also understand what is marketing, human resource, and online digital, etc. So all these things, students understand, oh, okay, maybe I did the restaurant bar management before, now I want to do marketing, or people, oh, there's other things I like to do. So we advance the field trip, and then we also ask the final year students who did the placement and who has already found a job based on their placement. You talk about how the placement helps them to secure the job opportunities. So this is, we incorporate this. Sorry, I'd like to say I'm sorry, I don't want to be like critical, but at this point, I just want to say this is really my original thought, and it really worked for our students. So in the last year, the last batch, our students' enrollment is 95%. So the 5%, I don't know, maybe their family have the job queue up for them already. So so that's really worked, because to me, I think for everybody, placement offers so much. It can bridge the education workplace gap, the gap, and also can enhance student satisfaction. And also, I keep remembering the students, it's very cheap. It's £1,000 in Brookes. I'm not sure about other universities, but student salary is high. They can still cover the cost. So in the end, make sure more people enroll on it, and then make sure I can utilize the friends effects, like who is who on friends, like, oh, your friend doing that, maybe you can work in a hotel. Okay, maybe your hotel is close to that hotel. Why don't you work in that hotel nearby, etc. So in the end, all worked. So if the student enroll on the placement, they tend to be very happy. Okay, I know in some odd cases, like Lisa said, some odd things happen, but 90% of the students super happy. And then by the time in the final year, when they file the national satisfaction score, they tend to be higher. Okay, and then once the students get the work experience with luxury hotels, they are more likely to be employed. Like 50% of our students got the job from their placement opportunity. So that's the thing. So I really hope this can help our students to engage in the placement program. It's a very good opportunity. Compared with other programs like finance, management, marketing, we are really in heaven. Our students must appreciate the opportunities.
Okay, the stats are really interesting, and you pick up on field trips, and I accompanied you and your students to Raffles. And just chatting to the students after the tour of Raffles, and they'd spoken to some of the staff in the presentations, and their eyes were absolutely lighting up. They all wanted to work in luxury after that. So you picked up on another important, I suppose, tool for driving excitement around hospitality. The field trips are so important, aren't they?
Yes, yes. So in my approach, I advance them to earlier stage, but we also need to keep like the high ends, like a highlight to their last year, right? That is before the satisfaction score coming in. If you give all the delight dessert to the students, they wouldn't find excitement in the final year. But students tend to learn a lot in there, and luxury environment is a very good environment. But I always feel like luxury is only one section. Many of our students end up working in economic section, etc. But it's good for students to have some aspiration, so they can drive to work the best. So even if that's it.
I was quite shocked recently when I read some statistics on the number of students in hospitality education that actually leave university and don't go on to work in hospitality. Why do you think that is? What happens along the way that puts them off, Ariane?
Oh, that's an interesting question. I think it's a combination of several things. One, perhaps, as Lisa was saying, where they have had a placement that didn't go so well, or they've been treated not so well in their part-time jobs, where they're really being pushed to do quite menial tasks. I think that's one thing, and then perhaps we're shooting ourselves in the foot, actually, because we all three of us, all three institutions, these are management courses based in the world of hospitality. So we're teaching them finance and we're teaching them HR. And those are transferable skills. So, maybe they're leaving, because they have those skills, leaving the industry. The industry in the UK, as we all know, does not have a good reputation. And nobody, we still need to get our heads around that and change that, but that's another conversation. In luxury, I'm in touch with, for example, an institution in Switzerland where a lot of the students leave and they go work in luxury retail, for example. The luxury retail watch companies come recruit students on campus. Lisa, you probably know which institution I'm talking about, but because we're also teaching them those customer service skills. They're being hoovered up by retail. I know in the world of luxury. So I think certainly in the UK, we've got a lot of work to do on the reputation. However, my cohort of students is very international. Mainly from India, and when they go home, I think they do tend to stay in the industry, unless, as Kate was saying, they have a job lined up. Which a lot of them do, in some kind of a family business. And they might do a course in hospitality when, in fact, the parents have another line of business. So I think through, guest speakers, through visits, etc., we need to, ensure that the students, as you were saying, Jason, have the stars in their eyes and think, oh, wow, this is great, and not get a job in hospitality until they find a real job.
100% agree, and some interesting points raised there as well. We teach them, they learn all these skills and they are transferable to any and every industry, aren't they? So you quite rightly say that maybe you're too good, maybe you're shooting yourself in the foot. Lisa, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, completely agree with Ariane. I think there is the fact that some of them, as I said previously, they have such a poor experience during studies with part-time job, employment and placement and everything else, and they think that's what the industry is going to be like in a full-time capacity. And it's exactly those soft skills and that customer service and being able to deal with people and being people that actually also causes us a problem. There's a large financial company that is worldwide that this time last year they advertised specifically advertising to hospitality graduates, knowing the fact that they had all of the rounded skills and actually be able to work with people, being able to have those transactional skills, those transactions with people and everything else, with the whole point that they could teach them how to do the accounting and finance bit on top of the bit of finance they've done within their hospitality degree. So we are being pitched at, and exactly as Ariane said about the luxury retail coming against us and everything else, we are being our students are having all these great offers, shall we say, that are possibly slightly more appealing, possibly have a better salary bracket, shall we say, because that's another
that's the
area
elephant in the room, isn't it?
That is the bit of the sort of, and we have to put our cards on the table. Yeah, you can have a great career in hospitality and you can earn a lot of money, but you're not going to earn that money as a graduate straight out of university within the world of hospitality. So I think having those guest speakers, we have industry mentoring at within my programs, where every student every year has industry mentors throughout their program. Having the guest speakers, the site visits and everything else, all of that hopefully will make a difference in the long run to them realizing that they may not have the career and the job that they want straight out of university, but they've met people that are now 5, 10, 15, 20, 25 years out of wherever they are within their career, and realise that trajectory they can go on, and in some cases quite quickly, particularly in parts of the hospitality industry that are not hotels. And I think that's the other thing that we need to broaden the horizon of some students, that the world of hospitality extends beyond hotels, because I think that there is a lot of focus on that, particularly when they start to think about careers and where they can go to and everything else. We've got a whole range of different career opportunities and different facets and different sectors within the industry.
Kate, how can we better attract people into the industry? I'm wondering whether we should, as an industry, be targeting people at high school, like pre-16. Should we be going in to assemblies and talking to 15, 16-year-olds that are coming up to leaving and extolling the virtues of, because there will be a certain percentage that want to leave their town as soon as they possibly can, leave mum and dad and go and work on the Seychelles in a five-star hotel. But they don't necessarily think about it because no one's actually gone into their comprehensive school and talked about it. What are your thoughts, Kate, on that?
I think it is less a problem to me because many other graduates come to our industry too, like marketing, HR, okay, business management. A lot of them actually come to the hospitality industry. So all industry subjects are fluid. So it doesn't mean we lose our student, we do not receive this to the opposite. So we should see the fluid situation in a full picture. But I think that a lot of times our students' understanding about hospitality jobs are very narrow, partly because of the curriculum, a lot of customer experience, a lot of the bookkeeping, a lot of housekeeping, that kind. So to our students, it's not everybody's cup of tea. So when I invite guest speakers, I always invite some old stuff like revenue managers are kind of mainstream, or booking.com. Okay, many students say, oh, well, I'm interested in tourism management, but what jobs are they? Well, booking.com or a bunch of online digital online OTAs are a very good place to work. So bring them in, and then some consultancy companies buy and sell hotels, CBRE, HVS. So you invite them in there, and also asset management companies, Aimbridge. So I always bring these odd guest speakers to the classroom, and that makes students understand, oh, okay, I can still work in there and there apart from the placement opportunities, these jobs they work in a hotel. So I think that maybe for education, we can't change people's minds. Okay, if they don't like it, then we respect their choice. Good luck to them. But what we can do is to broaden their horizon as much as possible because we are more experienced. We have seen how many students succeed. Okay, and we have a track record of how likely our students can succeed in which sector. So we must bring this knowledge to the students. So this is all we can do. And then in the end, we hope other students from other majors can come to our industry. Yeah.
Lisa, how can we better attract people into the industry? What are your views?
I've got to slightly disagree with Kate, sorry, but I do think that the fact that we have a bit of a job to do, shall we say, at a younger age to be able to encourage people. I think they may have a fixed idea about what a role in hospitality is going to be, but it doesn't mean that we can't educate them beyond what a role is going to be. And we can only see that in other parts of the world and other parts of Europe and other parts of the wider world, having a job in hospitality and having a career in hospitality is up there with being a doctor and a lawyer because of the prestige that comes with it and everything else. And I think part of that is actually how it is seen out in the wider world, how it's seen within schools and everything else. You've got the thing, haven't you, at the moment that there's a huge campaign running for the events industry. It's called The Power of Events and everything else, and they're doing a fantastic job. They've now decided that they've got school ambassadors, and they're pairing with secondary schools and everything else, and being able to go into them, explain about the industry and everything else. I think that's something that we need to do as a hospitality industry, both on the education side but also on the industry side, and actually come together to be able to get some of these programs going. To be able to, and I think be even beyond secondary schools. I think we need to start at primary schools when they're starting to have those initial thoughts and those initial ideas of what they're going to be. They want to be a train driver, or they want to be a nurse, or whatever. What's wrong with wanting to work in the world of hospitality and being sort of the next, I don't know, marketing manager for booking.com or whatever it happens to be? I think there is a lot of stuff that we can do to be able to encourage people beyond thinking, and I hate to say this, that it's plate plonking, and the fact that you're looking at what you may see in some of those areas. I do think the media and television don't help either, because of the lot of portrayal of the industry is negative, because of the way that it's portrayed. Is looking at the fact that you're treated badly, it's bad hours, bad pay, and all of those elements. I think we're starting to see things now with places like the Savoy doing television programs and that, and showing that, I suppose, a slightly better side of the industry. But that's not what's in people's minds. It's the negative side. The media is contributing to that. Are we encouraging people that it's a fantastic career? They need to see those role models out there, and they're not quite there, shall we say. I think so. We've got a lot of education to do, but I think it's possible. We just need to think of the little attack that we need to do from both an education and an industry point of view for us to work together.
Ariane, would you agree?
Yeah, I totally agree with what Lisa was saying. I think obviously here in the UK, as I was saying earlier, the hospitality industry has this, horrendous reputation of long hours, low pay, lack of role models, as you were saying, Lisa, as well. There are a couple of organizations in the UK that are really trying to rebuild this, but we go out to, sixth form colleges, et cetera, students that are 16, 17 or whatever. I'm sure you guys do that as well. And we go in and we do talks, et cetera. We also invite them in to the university. And then we hear the careers advisors saying, nah, you don't want to go study hospitality. Why don't you do this instead? And you're like, excuse me, it's just, so the careers advisors themselves are trying to push the kids away from the hospitality industry, because probably linked to what Lisa's saying, with regards to what the press is saying and what we see on TV. But not quite hospitality. We saw, we were having a chat with some of my chef lecturer colleagues, and we were talking about Gordon Ramsay and some of his TV shows, the nice Gordon Ramsay style ones, gladiatorial and screaming and yelling and throwing frying pans around, etc. And we talked to students after that, and that actually put them off from applying for a course in culinary arts, even though, Ramsay is so well known. So I think, again, I agree with Lisa. Outside of the UK, hospitality is, very glamorous. When I have open days, and I have, the parents sometimes sitting in the room, my first slide I put up is one of careers in hospitality. And I show them cruise ships and contract catering and restaurants and bars and whatever, the whole world of hospitality. And I say, okay, let's start with the end. And they look at me like, is she mad? But we also, I think today in, the way the economies are going in different countries, I can't say 100% the students are going to find a job in hospitality. And I say that in open days because I can't say 100. If they want a job in hospitality, I'm 99.9% sure they're going to get one when they graduate, whether it's here in the Middle East, whatever. So perhaps we can, sort of make the reputation of the business is, you're going to get a job, you're going to have a career, rather than this horrendous sort of pot washing floors and serving grumpy guests that seems to be the mainstream.
Yeah, it's down to its reputation, isn't it, in this country is vastly different to in other countries where it's, as you said, it quite rightly said, it's perceived as a glamorous role there with a doctor. I'm interested, just to round up, in hearing your views on whether the hospitality industry is doing enough to promote itself to students. Is it doing enough itself to bridge the gap between academia and working in hospitality? So I need from you all a yes or a no, and I'm each going to allow you 30 seconds to explain why. I'm going to start with Kate. Kate, is the industry doing enough to promote itself, to bridge the gap? Yes or no?
Can you repeat your question? I'm sorry.
Well, just talking about whether there's an onus on the hospitality industry to bridge the gap between academia and working in hospitality, to promote itself as a viable career to students and graduates. Is the hospitality industry itself doing enough? Would you say yes or no?
It's a political answer. I don't want to say no, but based on the discussion, it is a no, isn't it? But I'm also a very positive person. I think we can work on it, right? So there's room to improve. I think there's room to improve, and Is the industry, if the industry needs to role model, and then, yeah. I don't know. I mean, please cut my, please cut. It's a very complicated question. So,
Hey.
yeah, please let the Ariane and Lisa talk first and ask me, please.
Ariane, same question to you. Yes or no, and why?
Partly. Sorry.
You don't have three people that don't like being put on the spot.
No, parts of the industry are, and parts are not. And I think initiatives like Lisa's HUU, for example, we're seeing or some organizations that are really, really willing to go out there. Some of the organizations that, I interact with where they're, throwing guest lectures at you and really willing. So I think parts of the industry are, and parts are not. Hence, it's a bit of a wishy-washy answer.
Okay.
That's my 30 seconds gone.
Ariane, I'm going to allocate you a little bit more time. Which parts aren't?
That's really difficult. I think it's I don't know. I mean, I think certainly in the UK, some of with the shortage, the skills shortages that they're all really, really crying about. I think this should really be a kick in the backside to engage more with all of us. There's no, I can't give I'm not going to give any names, of course, but obviously the big boys, the big international hotel chains, the big companies have a lot more resources to do that, and they have HR departments, training departments, etc. The smaller organizations are probably more difficult to get a hold of. So it's difficult to say. I mean, personally, any organization that I've tried to engage with, I've never had a no. Okay, they've always been willing perhaps to come in, etc. Maybe it's a question of time. Everyone's under pressure. You mentioned how difficult it was to get all of us together for an hour. But it is now the industry, sort of shooting themselves in the foot because they have this skills shortage that they're all crying about on TV and the press, etc.
Yes.
If they were to engage with us more, then we'd be helping each other. I think probably Lisa can expand on that one.
Lisa, you've had a lot of time to think about your answer here, so no pressure, but I'm expecting a lot.
Oh, perfect. Thank you very much, Jason. I'm going to be there and say, actually, no, they're not. I think there is, and this is where Hospitality and University United came around, in the fact that myself and my co-founder Dawn were sat trying to I suppose change the world, and that's what we're still trying to do, to be able to get the industry and academia to work together, to be able to bridge that gap, to be able to look at actually what we're doing in the world of education, what's happening out in the industry, to be able to bring the two together, to be able to make sure that students, when they come to us, they have those building relationships as they go through their journey and out to the other end, and as they pop into industry. And the reason why I'm still saying no is I completely agree with Ariane. There are pockets of the industry that are absolutely fantastic. They I should say agree to everything, and I've never had the case that people haven't worked with me, haven't agreed what we want to do, and work with me and the students and everything else. But there are certain sectors of the industry, shall we say, that are not as forthcoming. They're quite happy to say that they're not getting the candidates through and everything else. They're also not working with us. If we think about, there are 29 universities in the UK that run hospitality-based programs. Okay, they range in size depending on how many students they have on those cohorts, but there's still a few thousand students every year that are graduating with a hospitality degree, which means there are a few thousand students every year who would like a job in a roundabout way. And it's the fact of then pitching into those areas to be able to think about how to recruit them, but building that relationship during their studies, so they know, okay, XYZ restaurant is where I want to work. And it is, I mean, hotels on the whole are fantastic. They're really engaged in everything else across the board. But some of the other areas of the hospitality industry that we're trying to promote are not as engaged. And some of it's down to size. They don't have the capacity, they say, and everything else. But also, it's a little bit short-sighted in the fact that we've got thousands of students every year that want to join the industry, that want to be able to have a job and everything else. and we hold those future managers, the future leaders of sort of in the next 5, 10, 15 years time, or whatever way we look at it. And I just think there's that untapped potential that we are not there yet. So that's hence my answer being no.
Really interesting. Really interesting. I hope some industry leaders are watching this program, because certainly we hold a portal. So if you are in a hospitality industry, be that waiter, pot wash, be that GM or director or head of, then you can sign up to work with any of our affiliate universities. My brain's gone. So Oxford Brookes, UWL, Manchester Met, Missenden Abbey. There's more, but if there's any in your area and you're keen to participate in panel discussion, guest lecture, appear on E&F TV's Bridging the Gap, anything, careers day, then you can log on to our website and you can sign up via there, and then we'll feed you out to your chosen universities, and you can be part of the solution rather than the problem, let's say. But guys, thank you so much for joining me. I know you're super busy. Probably, maybe we're about at an hour now. So, and I know, like we said, literally that was the only hour you could do. So I better let you all go. But genuinely, from my heart, I just want to thank you all for giving me an hour just to discuss things. I certainly think there's a part 2 in this, because we could have literally talked for 3 hours. You've all got such engaging views on it and so passionate. So thank you very much. So yeah, that's all we've got time for this week. Like and share, because it helps us attract really cool guests, panel discussions like this where we're attacking what's important and bridging the gap between education and the workplace. See you next week.
Here we go.